Greetings vlog, and welcome to a cozy early fall day of writing and research. Hi, hello, my name is Taylor. I am an aspiring novelist, screenwriter, and playwright, and I just finished drafting by hand across 5 notebooks my science fiction fantasy novel. While I work on typing it up, I am beginning research for a new project which is a historical fiction novel set in the 1980s, and I am officially calling it Project Cartomancy. This is my first time actually giving a proper undercover name to a whip that I am working on, and I am so excited to share the process with you. A couple weeks ago, I started officially doing research, mostly doing it online, watching videos, reading articles, and now I am delving into checking out books from the library. By the way, this video is brought to you by your local library. This is such a underrated resource. I feel like with the way that book talk kind of works and consumption and buying things works, that we sometimes forget how useful the library can be, and I have been so appreciative of it during this research process. On that note, I highly recommend using your library's resources to search for books, to use the catalog to find where they are located, and then going into the library and matching them to the Dewey Decimal System or whatever system they use to categorize them, because oh my goodness, it is so helpful. The first time that I went in looking for books, I ended up just looking by category and I was very lost. This past time I found 5 different books that I wanted to check out. One of them, unfortunately, I couldn't get to because there were chairs in the aisle. However, I did end up finding the other 4 very quickly because libraries are great. Let me share with you what I checked out for research and what my plan is for the next couple of weeks. The first 2 books that I checked out are both by John Douglas, who was at the top of the FBI's serial crime unit and is responsible for pioneering criminal profiling. I have already started Mindhunter, which you might think that name's familiar, and it's, I believe, because the series that had Jonathan Groff in it is based on John Douglas's story. So, Mindhunter, and we have The Anatomy of Motive. My plan is to read both of these books cover to cover, and let me just say, content warning. This book, at the least, I have not touched this one yet, this book is very heavy, it gets descriptive, it gets graphic, it covers heavy topics, but oh my goodness, this book has been so helpful already in giving me an idea of the culture of the FBI, how they work, the different things that they look for. And even though my book is not focused in the serial crime unit itself, this has been probably one of the most helpful resources that I have looked at so far. I'm currently on chapter 2 of Mindhunter, but I am so excited to start The Anatomy of Motive when I have finished Mindhunter. It is a sort of a spin-off, it's kind of a sequel in a sense to Mindhunter, and it delves specifically into how criminals are understood, how they are caught, and so this is going to delve even more into the information that I am grabbing from this book. The other 2 books that I checked out are much thicker, and they are both on J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover was the FBI director around the 50s during the time of McCarthyism. Project Cartomancy takes place in the mid-1980s, however, I really want to dig into the deep psychological aspects of how the characters are impacted by the recent past, by recent events, how it has impacted the entire atmosphere of where they are and where they go and how they make decisions. Specifically, I've been looking into the Lavender Scare, which was a part of McCarthyism, and how J. Edgar Hoover contributed to a very hostile environment towards the LGBTQ community. The Burglary by Betty Metzger focuses on a group of media burglars that infiltrated the FBI to uncover the secrets of J. Edgar Hoover, and Official and Confidential, The Secret Life of J. Edgar Hoover by Anthony Summers focuses more on Hoover's personal life, rumors that circulated about him, and how his own internal struggles might have contributed to his outward hostility. These books are thick, and I don't need a super comprehensive understanding of every single thing that J. Edgar Hoover did, so my plan with these is to use the index and the references in the back of the book to find the specific information that I'm looking for, which is what I did with my first round of library books. Prior to checking out these books, I had checked out 2 books, one of them on CIA directors and the other one on the 1950s. I used the book on the 1950s to see if I could find any little scraps of information on McCarthyism and on J. Edgar Hoover, and I used the CIA book to see what I could learn about William Webster, who was not only the CIA director, but originally started as the FBI director, coming off of a slew of rather poor FBI directors that made the environment at the FBI rather dismal. At the time of Project Cartomancy, Webster is the FBI director, and so I wanted to use the CIA book in order to gain some further insights on his character. I also checked out the audiobook for Alfie by Gregory Maguire because I'm obsessed with Wicked, big surprise there. But I did read Wicked and I read Son of a Witch, and I am very, very excited about Alfie because it's all about Elphaba's childhood growing up, and I've been eager to read it, so I checked out the audiobook because I said, wow, I'm gonna be doing a lot of reading. So I thought this would be a nice break. Audiobooks are nice. I don't listen to them enough. Also on my reading agenda, because I'm crazy, is Dan Brown's The Secret of Secrets. I recently had the opportunity to attend an online author talk that was hosted by Barnes & Noble Union Square and Waterstones with Dan Brown, all about his book, all about his writing process, and I was so inspired and found it to be so insightful. And then I got to receive a signed copy of Dan Brown's brand new book in the mail. So I am currently on site to hopefully devour that. I am so excited for this book. I've read a couple of his books in the past, The Da Vinci Code and The Lost Symbol. I am hooked on his stories and the way that he puzzles things out. And so on top of the books for research, we're reading that and we're listening to Alfie. Someone help me. On the writing end of things, I want to focus more on getting back into drafting some early parts of Project Cartomancy, especially parts that focus on character development and the relationships of the characters in the book. I don't want to give too much away. We're typing up the science fiction fantasy project, we are doing research, and we are working on drafting tidbits of Project Cartomancy. Welcome to this writing and researching and being a literary person day in the life sort of vlog. Okay vlog, I am feeling bright and cheery because I had coffee, and I never have coffee in the morning, which is why I'm talking so fast, but I am feeling great and I'd like to write now. The plan right now is to spend some time, maybe about 30 minutes or so, trying to write a scene or 2, that's ambitious, for Project Cartomancy. Got some Lana Del Rey, I might switch to some instrumental music, and let's write. It's fall, there's coffee, let's write. I think I'm gonna work on chapter 2 and I'm gonna set it to a Pomodoro timer and listen to a playlist about wanting someone you can't have. That feels like the vibe. Let's write. Okay, I haven't had a cold brew in a month and now I literally feel like I'm going to explode. I have not felt this energetic in ages. Welcome back. It is now the evening time. I have gone to visit my family. The weather's been so nice today. And now I'm feeling like doing some more writing. I feel like research, reading, that sort of stuff is a later evening activity tonight. Kind of a wind down activity. This is very heavy material, but wind down activity nevertheless. Writing requires a little more critical thinking, so I am going to do some more writing right now. I am craving writing. I am craving story, words, putting things onto paper. My current word count is 5,309, so I'm gonna set a timer for 25 minutes and do a sprint, a bunch of sprints, we'll see. We're gonna start with one sprint though, and we'll see where we get. The Pomodoro timer that I use most often is studywithme.io by Graffiti, and they are also the people who made Flocus, which you might be familiar with if you watch any collaborative writing sprints by some of your favorite authortubers. They often use Flocus, and this is a pretty similar desktop account-free website that was made by the very same people. What I love about Study With Me is that you can customize the Pomodoro so much. You can customize how long you want the sprint, how long you want the break to be, if you want a short break or a long break. You can even customize the background. Right now I have it set to a fall forest, but they have all sorts of different scenes. They have lo-fi music in the corner that you can listen to, and it looks like they have a Discord, but I am not a member of that. So I'm gonna put on some of my own music and get to writing. Well, that concludes this day of writing and research and early fall authoring. My total word count at the end of the day was 6,031. I got pretty good distance into the third chapter of the draft of Project Cartomancy, and while I didn't end up doing any research last night, I did do some more research this morning, and I can now say that research, at least in my experience so far, is a bit of a trial and error. However, when you find the right piece of material for reading, you will know, because I feel like I've taken off running. I've hit the ground running, I'm good to go, and I'm on a really good track right now, which is huge. It's huge for where I started in terms of this research versus where I am now. The reason that I stopped so short last night is because I realized that the Emmys were on and I completely forgot, and it was a bit of a surreal moment because I realized that my very first vlog 1 year ago was the day of the Emmys, so it felt a little bit full circle. I didn't even realize that I was essentially vlogging the very same day that I began a year ago, though I know the Emmys weren't on the exact same day a year ago. I'm rambling. And thank you so much for writing and researching and enjoying the day with me. I truly hope that you have enjoyed this writing vlog, and if you like writing, reading, theater, yo-yos, random television critiques at times, feel free to stick around for more content, and thanks for watching!